Da 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 da. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry here, and it is a very, very special day. It is October 4th in the Eastern Time Zone of 2020. And aside from the 2020 part, it's October 4th. That's awesome. There are 3 reasons why October 4th is awesome. Want me to list them off? I will right now. First off, October 4th is my grandmother's birthday, my Bubba's birthday. We call her Bubba in my family. She's 86 years old, so happy birthday, Bubba. Second reason it is an awesome day is over in Sweden, it is National Cinnamon Bun Day. That's right, Kanelbullensdag. Probably mispronounced that, but I'll take any opportunity I can get. Happy Cinnamon Bun Day. Kanelbullensdag. But the third and final reason why October 4th should be a special day on your calendar is it is marking the 10-year anniversary of the One Piece time skip. I'm going to repeat that again for those of you who are like me and feel very old by that fact. 10 years, a single decade since the time skip happened. Since chapter 598 when the Straw Hats returned to Sabaody. 10 years! God, you know, I remember I was reading One Piece weekly when this happened. I started reading One Piece back in like 09 around Impel Down. It was the chapter Minotauros fought against Bon Clay and Luffy, actually. I remember the first chapter I started reading weekly, right? And I remember when we got to the freaking time skip and I was like, oh man, we're only halfway done with this story. Oda's only halfway done. This thing has been in serialization since 1997. Here we are in 2010. Here we are in 2010. 13 years. And I figured, okay, good. So now we have another 13 years. Man, we got more One Piece than we're going to know what to do with. Well, here we are 10 years later, and thankfully, according to Oda anyway, we don't just have 3 years left. We apparently have 5 years left, maybe 6 years left. I'm not really sure. Oda always comes out and says about 5 years, so we'll see where that goes. But certainly a lot of stuff has happened in the last decade, right? But in honor of the anniversary here, and this is a moment in One Piece history that I fondly remember, I will be doing a review of the first chapter after the time skip, chapter 598, titled 2 Years Later, which I am reviewing 10 years later. Oh god. I remember I actually reviewed this already. Yeah, okay. So, I just started my senior year of high school when this chapter came out. I remember reading the last chapter pre-time skip, you know, and One Piece went on a break. It went on a month-long break from August 30th till October. And then I start school, and then I'm like, every week, that first month of high school, of senior year of high school, it's like, that's getting me through this. I'm just like, man, I can't wait until the freaking time skip comes, you know, it finishes. I can't wait till this break is over and we get all the Straw Hats. I couldn't wait to see what all the Straw Hats were going to look like 2 years older, and they're going to be stronger, and it's going to be cool. Like, what's the first threat they're going to face? Are they finally going to go to Fishman Island? That's another weird thing. It's just like, remember how long we were waiting for Fishman Island? Like, right after the Straw Hats leave Ennie's lobby, it's like, oh, you're going to be heading to Fishman Island next. And then Florian Triangle, they encounter Brook, yo! And then Sabaody Archipelago and Duval's group and everything, and then they have to fight Kuma, and then they get separated, and then Amazon Lily, and then Impel Down, and then Marineford, and then post-Marineford, then a time skip, and it's like, are we finally going to Fishman Island? And here we are now, 10 years later. Yeah, they've been to Fishman Island. They came and they went, and that part of the story is over now, right? Well, anyway, I remember waiting every week for this, and there was even one week I vividly remember, like, I thought it was going to come out, and then I misremembered when it was announced. So I was like, oh yeah, finally it's here. And it's like, nah, you got to wait another week. I'm like, ah! But it finally happened, and I was super excited. And I was filming YouTube videos at this point, and I did film, I don't know necessarily a review or a reaction, whatever you want to call it. I filmed myself reacting to the chapter, reading it for the first time, and unfortunately this was on my old camera when I recorded on like actual tapes, so yeah. I looked for it, but it's long gone, so I'll be doing a redo. We're doing a redo. Here we are today, reviewing One Piece chapter 598. I wonder what mysteries we will unlock, but let's find out. Alright, so we open, oh, by the way, you know, also a handy thing about doing this 10 years later is don't really have to use scenes from the chapter because I can just use scenes from the anime because, once again, 10 years later, my god. Alright, so we continue the chapter. The first scene of the time skip is Luffy Straw Hats sitting on a rock, the same place he put it 2 years ago, the one place on Ruskina that is a safe haven from all the different wild animals and craziness and the weather that happens there. Luffy's hat is there, covered in snow, with Rayleigh's Vivre card still inside of the band there. And then we see Luffy approach, pick it up, and just be like, man, it's been 2 years already. Time really flies, doesn't it? Maybe for you, Luffy, maybe for you. But that 1 month wait felt like an eternity. It almost felt like 10 years. Almost. In fact, it actually did feel like 10 years, weirdly enough. Okay, so we see Ruskina from a distance, and it's actually kind of cool because we learned from Rayleigh last chapter, I guess, that Ruskina is a very volatile island. The weather, even for the Grand Line, it's very, very hard to live there because the weather changes like every week. So there's like 52 different seasons every year. And it's not just like the simple seasons like, oh, it's winter 1 week and then, you know, summer the other. That's basically just like living in West Central PA. But no, it would be like monsoon season 1 week and then a drought for the next week and then a blizzard and then there'd be giant fire, which would basically like being and living in 2020 in modern day as well. So yeah, Ruskina is actually pretty accurate considering how the world turned out, okay? But at any rate, we see the Kuja pirates arriving at Ruskina. We also see these giant animals that Luffy has been training with in the last 2 years, many of which he has ended up taming. We see a giant lion, a giant alligator, and a giant gorilla. Holy crap, a giant gorilla! Luffy beat up King Kong! I wonder if that's going to have any influence on some techniques that Luffy has learned in the intermediate time period. It's funny because we all know what happens, but we don't know what happens here, but we know what happens, right? Actually, you know what? Actually, we don't know everything that happens. We'll get to that in a second. The Kuja pirates arrive to pick Luffy up. You know, it's like, all right, there's Margaret, there's Sandersonia, there's Marigold, and of course, Boa Hancock is there. And Boa Hancock, actually something interesting I wanted to mention here, in the manga version of this, Boa Hancock is actually wearing a blue colored dress. So basically the same outfit she always wears, except color swapped with blue. And in the anime, they just depict her wearing her regular red dress. So I always thought that was cool because I think that blue, I like blue more than red. So I thought that would have been really cool to see her in this blue dress in the anime, but unfortunately we don't get to see it. The giant animals act a little bit hostile toward the Kuja, but they simmer down really quick when Luffy just gives them the death stare of just like, hey, they're my friends. And then all the animals, these freaking giant lions and gorillas and alligators that are like several times, like they're the size of buildings compared to Luffy. They're just like, oh, I'm sorry, Lord Luffy. And so the Kuja are like, wow, holy crap, you tamed every wild animal on this island in 2 years? And Luffy just kind of nonchalantly is like, yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I can't eat them now because they're my friends. But whatever. All right, we're ready to go. So Luffy puts on his hat and he's like, man, I took a little bit of a break being a pirate, but we're back in action. Also, Boa, of course, asks Luffy to marry him, and Luffy, I think, developed some form of common sense in the last 2 years. I don't know exactly how you get that, training on an island filled with nothing but wild animals for 24 months, but at any rate, I guess because he improved his observation hockey, I guess his observation, maybe that was Oda's tell, of like, he used his Conqueror's hockey to like suppress the animals to get them to obey him, and whenever Boa asked him about marriage, Luffy's observation was so good, he was like, she wants to marry me. I never realized that before. And he's like, well, thanks for the ride and everything, and thanks for the food and helping me out and everything. I'm not gonna marry you, though. And that's Luffy. He's a very blunt individual. If somebody asks him to do something and he doesn't want to do it, he's not gonna beat around the bush. He's gonna tell you straight to your face, thank you for everything you've done, but we're not getting married. All right, let's go. This doesn't really affect Hancock that much, though, because I think she just plays it off like, oh, he's playing hard to get, so whatever. All right, we get the cover spread. Now, we do not get to see Frankie or Zoro in this chapter. Unfortunately, they were not going to be revealed until chapter 599. Maybe I'll review that next week, I guess, compared to like 10 years after chapter 599. But no, we get to see all the Straw Hats in the cover spread, and hey, to this day, if my past self just popped into existence right here, my 17-year-old self popped up and just like, hey, future me, what happens with Zoro's eye? What's up with the scar? He has like the Rinnegan, right? And I'm like, oh, Yeah, no, we still have no idea what's up with that scar. Many people have theories, though. You can go check those out. You know, it's funny. I think a lot of people really want the eye to mean something significant. One Piece has never really had, like, magic eye powers. It's not like Naruto. Outside of maybe the devil fruit abilities that give you, like, eye abilities and stuff like that. You're not like Aizawa from My Hero Academia or something with the erasure ability. I think it really is, honestly, at this point, just a scar. He was sparring with Mihawk. I think it was a thing where he was training with Mihawk for 2 years, with Mihawk not actually directly teaching him. And I think Zoro's, like, last lesson before he went back to Sabaody was training with Mihawk directly. In a sparring match for the first time with the strongest swordsman in the world at his island, Gloomy Island. And so they fought, and then that's where Zoro got the scar. And I think that's all it really is. It's just a scar just to represent, like, okay, you know, this is the greatest swordsman in the world, still stronger than Zoro. He's not quite at that level yet, but he's definitely improved in the last 2 years. Something else to throw out there, if you really want that to be the case, you could always say, well, maybe it's a handicap he self-imposed. Like, I'm only going to fight my enemies from now on with one eye, and whenever it gets to the point where I really have to get serious, or I'm going up against a Yonko directly, or if I'm going up against a really strong opponent, then I'll open the eye, and then like my sword skills will explode even more because now I'm getting more visual input. If you want to throw that out there as a possibility, sure, but don't think it's going to be like he opens up his eye and it's like, Mihawk pulled out the eye of a demon 10 years ago and then implanted it into me! You know, I mean, that would be awesome! That'd be cool! That'd be cool as shit! But, yeah, I don't think that's actually what went down. But other than that, you know, Brook has some style, Usopp's back to being thin and muscular again, Nami and Robin's boobs got bigger, of course, Chopper's there with a different kind of hat, or just like a blue cover on his hat, and Luffy is now wearing a shirt, which never really did that before in the story, you know? One thing I have to say that Oda probably, and there's a bunch of sketch art that Oda released about the time skip, like, he had different ideas on how to, like, outfit the Strats and how they would look, like, Nami's hair. Would Nami's hair, you know, be longer like it is now, or would it be shorter but wavier, like different hairstyles he was going to try out? A lot of different things going on. I think there was even a sketch where Zoro was going to have a straight-up eye patch, like Kenpachi Zaraki for a little while there. I know Frankie's designs went through a lot of different, a lot of different stages until he settled on this. I remember, and I don't know if this was a thing across the board or in Japan, all I remember is when I read this chapter way back in the day, I was going on forums like the Oro Jackson probably. Oh man, rest in peace, Oro Jackson. Remember the Oro Jackson? Yeah, that was really big back then. It probably was the Oro Jackson. Yeah, the Oro Jackson was around in 2010. I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, I was looking around and I just remember reading that a lot of people immediately were like thumbs down on Frankie's new design. And I could understand. I mean, it is a vast departure. I mean, it fits Frankie's character. It certainly does. He's a super guy. He's going to make a super robot body, right? But at the same time, I can understand because it's like his arms are huge and he's got these giant like orbs on his shoulders. It's just like, what are you doing? But I'm glad Oda stuck with it. Oda might have, I don't know if the same backlash was in Japan, but if it was, I'm glad Oda like stuck to his guns and he's just like, okay, you know, I'll see where this goes. And he kept drawing Frankie in that way. And I think a lot of people were also upset that Frankie's hair, he has like a closed like crew cut kind of hairstyle here in the cover page, and everyone was freaking out like, wait, what? What are you doing? You gave Frankie a haircut? What are you doing, Oda? You know, like, Frankie's hair is like his staple. And of course, later on we find out that that's actually not the case. In fact, Oda made it even better because now Frankie has like, hold the nose for 3 seconds, I am a robot, and then giant hair poofs out, and then he can style it any way he wants. And so Oda said, yo, we'll be having fun with this in the arcs to come. And so now every arc we can have Frankie have a different hairstyle, pretty much anything. That's the reason Oda did it. But at first, a lot of people were pretty scared at the new design of Frankie. You know, like, where was this going exactly? I don't think there was a lot of complaints about any of the other Strats, because Frankie's changed. Like, all that Sanji did was grow a goatee. And, oh yeah, he also parts his hair on the other side now. So, people were, like, confused by that. Like, what's on the other side of Sanji's face? But we find out here, no, it's just a regular eye. Nothing crazy, just another eye. But other than that, aside from Frankie, I don't think anybody really freaked out. So, we cut over to the Sabaody Archipelago to years later, the halfway point of the Grand Line, we got a few things to keep up here. First off, we cut to a bar where there's a bunch of people sitting around a table and looking at a flyer for the return of the Straw Hat crew. However, the design of the logo doesn't really look exactly like the logo of the Straw Hats. It looks a little bit less happy than the Straw Hat Jolly Roger does. And I'll be honest with you, when I first read this, I was fooled. I was looking at this thinking like, are the Straw Hats recruiting? What's going on? How's this going on here? So, Oda was doing a pretty good job at least fooling me back then. We then cut over to the Sabaody Dome, which is a giant dome in the middle of the amusement park where there's like concerts and stuff played. And we have Brook arriving. Now, Brook's time skip appearance looks, of course, he hasn't changed much in terms of his body because he's a skeleton. Yo! But he did grow taller. That's something I always find funny. Even though he's a skeleton and he's 90 years old, he still grows taller. The powers of the Yomi Yomi no Mi no bounds. But of course, he swaps out his kind of like drab, old, kind of like ratty clothes that he's been wearing on a ship for the last 50 years, and he swaps that out for super stylish rock star attire. He's got a crown, he's got a fish guitar, he's got a feathered boa. As we all know, the most badass characters in this story wear a feathered boa. You throw a feathered boa on Shanks or Garp, and they will destroy the world in less than 5 minutes. So anyway, Brook shows up, and the last 2 years have been very, very kind to Brook. It's like that karmic thing balancing out the universe. Alright, you spent 50 years floating around a ship in the middle of the fog with nothing but the corpses of your dead crewmates to keep you company, while you yourself are also an undead skeleton. So I guess we'll make you a rock star for 2 years. And he's really been climbing to the top of the charts. He's the Soul King now. And he has this big world tour. He's going all over the place. He's got concert posters. People are buying his TDs or his tone dials, which are the One Piece equivalent of CDs. That's something that also bugged me. I guess, like, enough tone dials have fallen out of the sky. Like, I can understand a few of them falling out of the sky, people picking them up and being like, oh, that's what these things are. But this chapter seems to imply that there is some sort of manufacturing company in the sky that delivers giant supplies, giant amounts of tone dials to the surface, enough that they can sell them like regular CDs are in our world. I'm not gonna question it, whatever. It's really cool. You literally buy them like headphones and you put them on and they can only play like one song at a time or like one album at a time, I guess. What do you think the capacity of a traditional TD is? I have no idea. But it's cool. You go to the store and you just buy the headphones with the seashells with the tone dials attached, put them on, and you're just like, Bone to be wild! Oh man, the Soul King, man, he's totally rocking. You hear his new single? Oh yeah, New World, man, it's gonna climb to the top of the charts. Love the Soul King! So, yeah, and Brook is there, and all his managers are, of course, the members of the Long Arm tribe this whole time that captured him and kind of set him down this path. And before Brook goes on air, though, before he goes out onto the stage, he's like, Manager, I have something I need to say to you. And the manager, the Long Arms now are very, very happy because Brook is making them a lot of money, or a lot of berries. And they're like, oh, what is it, sir? Now, this is also something I want to bring up, just a little tiny trivia fact that I picked up on. So, in this panel, one of the managers, one of the Long Arm guys that Brook is, working with, his mustache is actually missing. And that isn't a big deal, because who cares? It's just like a minor error. But they also, in the anime, they forgot to add it as well. So I don't know if that's a thing where it's like Oda forgot it in the manga, so that mustache not being there is going to be really important for later. We better make sure to animate it, or if they just decide to go with it as well. I don't know, but it's one of those very rare instances where there's an error, apparently an error in the manga, and the error continues all the way into the anime. Probably nobody cared, but I just remember that was a thing, so I wanted to bring it up. So Brook tells them what his little message was, and then he goes on stage with his first song is going to be Bone to be Wild, Bone to be Wild. They expand on this in the anime, of course. A little bit more of the song, but it's a great song. We now cut over to the harbor. This is Grove number 44, where Sanji is arriving at the archipelago, and Sanji's of course been on Kamabaka for the last 2 years, but he managed to, as Sanji would put it, he managed to maintain his humanity. So he shows up and he immediately detects the nearest female to him, and there's this random woman just talking to her friend at Sabaody, and she's like, oh yeah, it's great here, Sabaody Archipelago, look at all the bubbles. And then Sanji just has like, he's a freaking pacifista or like or something, he's like beep beep beep, woman lock on, and then Sanji immediately just boom, books it, and the women, of course, run off screaming because, yeah. The Okama are behind him. Of course, the Okama are the ones that dropped him off, and Sanji's last departing wish to them, of course, is just like, you know, screw off, basically, but thank Eva for me, and then leaves. Also, he flips them off in the manga. But yeah, I like that little scene, though, at least, because at least Sanji, I mean, he's rude to them. He's very rude to the Okamas for, you know, helping him out and bringing him back to Sabaody Archipelago. I mean, they didn't need to do that, Sanji. But they were really nice, giving him a place to live and then taking him back to Sabaody. He doesn't like them, but he at least, like, thanks, like, Eva's like, tell Eva I said thanks, I guess, for training me these last 2 years and making me stronger and, you know, teaching me about hockey and everything. I suppose, thank Eva, but whatever, I'm out of here. Viva Sabaody! And then he just goes running off. So, yeah, and we see Sanji parting the hair on the other side of his face now. His eyebrows are, I think the way that the eyebrows work for the Germa is like this way. Sanji's would work like this way. They go like inward. So yeah, it makes him different from his brothers. But we don't know if Sanji, wait, no, Sanji doesn't have brothers or sisters yet. No, he doesn't. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just channeling some crazy guy from the future. So now we cut over to a certain bar. We don't get a Grove number or anything. We just get a certain bar. It's the same bar from earlier where people were looking at the Straw Hat flyers. And we see a mysterious orange-haired woman sitting at the bar. And the bartender's there, and the bartender's basically just giving exposition to this woman. You know, just like, oh, you want to hear some random rumors there? Well, it turns out, did you hear that G1 and Marineford switched places? And the woman is like, oh, really? I didn't know that. He's like, yeah, you know how it goes. After the whole War of the Best, Marineford was leveled. We got a new fleet admiral. We don't know who the fleet admiral is yet, though. I'm going to suggest Momonga. I think Momonga became the next new fleet admiral. I know Aokiji was being recommended by Sengoku, but I want Momonga's time to shine. He will have his time to shine, damn it. Anyway, he's like, yeah, so basically when the new fleet admiral took over, he wanted to impose more military presence in the new world, because that's the sea that's ruled by the Yonko. So he moved the G1 base, which was previously at the opening of the new world, to where Marineford used to be, and then moved Marineford where the G1 base was. So now Marineford is now positioned right at the beginning of the new world, basically declaring war on all of the emperors. That was the goal of the new fleet admiral. So we find out about that here. Also in the back of this bar, we have a private little party going on for Straw Hat Luffy, Navigator Nami, Sogi King, Frankie. Wow, they really let themselves go. Man, yeah, Luffy really went ahead and just ate a lot of food on his way back to Sabaody. Man, the guy's huge. So yes, this is of course the fake Straw Hat crew. And when I saw these guys, I immediately was like, oh, okay. All right, Oda, I get what you're doing. I get the trope you're doing. Honestly, I was a little concerned by this, because going along with this idea that there's a fake Straw Hat crew operating the same time as the real Straw Hat crew, I was kind of worried, because I'm like, oh, please don't, like, draw this out more than it has to. Because I was worried they were going to do the thing where it's like, oh, and this actually does happen a little bit, like, members of the real crew get confused that the other people are members of the real crew when they're really members of the fake crew. This happens with Chopper later. But I'm like, alright, you can do that a little bit, but let's not draw that out longer than it has to. You know, where Chopper's like, what? You're actually Luffy? You're actually Zoro? Wow, you guys look different. Okay, whatever, guess I'll just go along with you. And then the actual Straw Hats show up, and it's like, oh, they're the fakes. Like, what? They're the fakes? Okay, guys. I was worried they were going to go down that road with it. They really don't. It's used in, like, one scene, kind of in comedic effect for Chopper, and beyond that, it really doesn't go beyond that. But anyway, the fake Straw Hats are there at Sabaody trying to recruit really strong pirates for their own cause. There's one pirate that approaches him that only has a 55 million berry bounty, and so the guy that's portraying Luffy here, fake Luffy, just takes out a gun and shoots him point blank, and he's like, you don't think 50 million is good enough to be on Straw Hat Luffy, son of dragons, the puncher of Celestial Dragon's crew? Pfft, I said at least 80 million. So he's recruiting really strong pirates right now, and they're basically just controlling this bar. Everyone's really intimidated, kind of afraid to go up to him, until we have the mysterious woman sitting at the bar. Who is this mysterious orange-haired woman with a tattoo? I wonder who it could be. Oh my god, it's Nami! So Nami's back, of course. Her new design is awesome. She's got badass pants, and she's wearing heels, and she just spends pretty much this entire arc, just in the next arc, pretty much most of it, walking around with just a bikini top. Her boobs, of course, got bigger, of course. I mean, what would you think? They wouldn't? Like, that's Oda's thing at this point, right? What's even more confusing is when we get to Robin. I'll get to that. Alright, so anyway, fake Nami goes up to real Nami and kind of tries to intimidate her, sits down next to her, pulls out the flintlock, and is like, do you know who that guy is over there? Please regale me. That guy over there is Straw Hat Luffy. Oh, he is. Oh, yes, yes. 400 million berry bounty. His father is the revolutionary dragon. He's the sworn blood brother of Ace. He fought with Whitebeard. Are you really gonna be sarcastic to that guy? And she's like, how much time is in the day? You know, okay. So before things get too intense, though, a mysterious long-nosed figure emerges from the door. Who could it be? It's Usopp. Usopp's back. He's in action. He's ripped. He takes out one of his new pop greens, fires a shot, and a giant Venus flytrap monster engulfs not just fake Nami, but the tentacles kind of go throughout the bar and grab the other members. Like, they know exactly who the enemies are. Like, Usopp willed it. So they begin to attack fake Frankie and fake Luffy and everything like that. And then Nami sees Usopp. Usopp has this really cool moment where he's like, he walks in, fires the pop green, chaos is going on. Nami's like, what's that? Giant plant attacking, okay. And then Usopp just kind of walks up to the bar, sits down right next to Nami and just like, hey there, lady. Can I buy you a drink? You know, he doesn't actually say that, but he's really cool. He's like, has the hat flip. He does do the hat flip. And then Nami's like, Usopp! And then they hug, and then presses Usopp right into her chest. So that's a scene there. Where he's like, oh my god, Usopp, you really grew a little bit. Man, you're ripped. And he's like, yeah, you grew a lot there too, Nami. Yeah, you grew a few centimeters there, in fact, yes. So, anyway, we end this little bar scene out with Nami just being like, she grabs Usopp. He's like, all right, let's go. So she picks up all of her bags. She was shopping, and they begin to walk outside of the bar, and these little weather balls, like these bubbles with storm clouds in them, begin to just travel around the bar, and fake Luffy's like, what's going on here? And then as soon as Nami and Usopp exit the bar, she's like, flip, and then boom, and a giant lightning bolt just torches the entire bar. That seemed a bit excessive, Nami. I feel bad for this guy. What about that poor bartender? That bartender seemed like a nice dude. He was like, hey there, lady, how you doing? You want to hear about the switching of the Marineford and G1 bays? I'll tell you some random rumors about what's going on in town. That bartender seemed like a nice dude. And you freaking just torched his entire establishment. I hope he has lightning insurance. I don't know, man. Anyway, the fake Straw Hats emerge from the building, and they look beaten up, but they don't look like they're defeated yet. They emerge, and fake Luffy begins to cough up some smoke, and he's like, find those two and get them. So he's vowing for revenge. You know, hell hath no fury than a rather rotund man wearing a straw hat. So Nami and Usopp, they're probably not going to make it to the new world with that man going after them. So now we cut over to Grove number 13, a location that we know quite well. Shaki's Rip-Off Bar. Sanji is arriving there, and I guess all of the Straw Hats, upon first arriving at the island, basically went to Shaki's bar because it's like they planned on meeting there 2 years instead of 3 days, but they weren't all going to arrive on the same day, obviously. So they all arrive at separate days, like roughly around the area where they arrived. Frankie got there a little bit earlier because he knew he had to work on the Sunny, make sure the Sunny was okay, do any repairs. So I'm sure he did not get there at 2 years. He might have left like a few weeks prior to that. Like maybe like, okay, it's been 1 year and 11 months. I better get going because I got to fix up the Sunny and stuff. But Frankie was only the second person to arrive. The first guy that actually got there was Zoro, which that is just the height of comedy on Oda's part. I mean, is it not? Is it not? Oda was sitting there like, I wonder what order the Straw Hats are going to arrive at Sabaody. You know what would be funny? I could have this be Zoro be the last person. I mean, he could have spun that too. He could have definitely spun it with like Zoro being the last person to arrive and then show up in a really epic fashion. But I think Oda was like, well, what if Zoro was the first person to arrive? And I think he laughed at that and he's like, okay, yeah, screw it, we're doing that. Zoro's the first person to arrive. So Zoro got there first. We actually do get to see his arrival in the anime where he walks into the bar and Rayleigh's there and he's like, oh, you're the first. And Zoro's like, oh, I am? They never change. Always getting lost, always late. Oh, that crew of mine. So that's funny. But But yeah, so Zoro was first, Frankie was second, Nami was third, I believe, Usopp came fourth, Chopper arrived yesterday, he was fifth, and then the day of right now, Brook arrived on the island for his tour, and Sanji arrived as well. So I guess that would make, if I guess Brook arrived first, then he would have been the sixth, and Sanji would have been the seventh. So Rayleigh mentions that all we're waiting for now is Robin and Luffy to arrive, and then we'll be good. Also, yeah, not Frankie, Rayleigh is present. Rayleigh's right here, and Rayleigh says, oh yeah, I trained Luffy for a year and a half, but after that, he pretty much picked up on everything that I wanted to teach him, the basics of hockey and everything. There was really nothing else I could teach him, so I just left early, came back, and left him, okay, Luffy, will you just spend the remaining 6 months on this island training and refining your skills on your own? And so Rayleigh's actually really excited to see Luffy again, to see how stronger he's gotten in the last 6 months since he's seen him. Also, we see Duval there, and not the Flying Fish Riders, but the Rosy Life Riders, and they're looking pretty beat up. They're looking pretty banged up. They're like, Duval's like in a full body cast, and all the other members are all bandaged up. This is another big question we had over the time skip. It's like, what about the Sunny? You're just gonna leave the Sunny docked at Sabaody? Now, granted, the Sunny was not, it wasn't like out in the open, but it wasn't exactly hidden either. It wouldn't be very hard to find that thing. So, we see before the time skip, like Shocky, Hachan, and the Rosy Life Riders are gonna be the ones to kind of protect it. But we also saw Kuma arrive too, so that's kind of confusing exactly what's up with that. But at any rate, Duval's pretty banged up, and he's like, I protected that ship every day and night for you, because I knew you'd come back someday. Anyway, I hope I did good, right? And so we don't find out more about that yet, but the Sunny is safe, and Frankie's there right now working on it, and Rayleigh already added the coding as well. So literally, we're just waiting on Luffy and Robin, and then we're set to go. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Of course, Sanji freaks out. He's like pretty much how the fans are at this point. He's like, I wonder how much sexier Robin and Nami have gotten over the time skip. And so we'll see where that goes. Actually, cutting right over. We're going to cut over to Nico Robin right now, and she's hanging out in an alley. She's looking at the posters for the Straw Hat recruitment and Brook's concert, and she's confused. Robin's like, what is this? So there's a few men that are watching her from an alley. They're wearing black suits and hats, trying to keep an eye on, like, trying to find Robin, and they're talking about, like, bringing her back. They're communicating with somebody. We don't know who it is, but this person is like, yeah, make sure you find Nico Robin and make sure to bring her back alive. So this is something like, at first when I read this chapter, and for years after this, I thought these were members of the Revolutionary Army. I assumed that Robin was not supposed to leave the Revolutionary Army. They wanted her for something, and she left anyway to go back to be with her crew. And they sent agents after her to bring her back. But that doesn't make any sense when you think about it, because Dragon was Luffy's dad. I mean, Dragon's the head of the Revolutionary Army. There'd be no reason why Dragon would be like, you know, Robin, you can't go back to your family, basically. You can't go back to your crew. So Dragon would have obviously let Robin leave. So these guys are not members of the Revolutionary Army. These are just random dudes that are trying to capture Robin. So who are these guys? Who are you people? I seriously, to this day, don't know. They could easily be members of Cypherpool? Cypherpool? Wow, that was squeaky. That could easily be members of Cypherpool. These could be like Cypherpool number 4, who gives a shit, but it's like, we don't know for certain. That's the thing. It's just like, all right, you know, target acquired. Like, who are they communicating to? They're talking to somebody. We never find out who these individuals are. So maybe later on in the story, even more than we're at right now, we'll find out, oh yeah, I sent my men to Sabaody after the 2 years to bring back Robin, but they failed. I don't know. At any rate, Robin's outfit's looking pretty cool. She's got the low-cut zipper jacket thing. Oddly enough, even though Robin was in her late 20s, she was like 28, and then now she's 30 years old, her boobs still grew 1 centimeter. So that's good, because Oda gave us measurements of all those. Boa Hancock's didn't grow at all. So maybe, I guess age 30 is when you officially stop growing in the One Piece world. I guess that's how that works. At any rate, yeah, she looks beautiful as always. I think she's covered by a bunch of cinnamon rolls right now, but she looks awesome. So Robin's there, and she's like, she has badass sunglasses now, and she's like, I don't know what's going on here, the concert, the straw hats, I gotta figure out what's going on. Now we cut over to Grove 47, where we see Chopper very briefly, and he's just kind of walking around the island, very chill, with a little stick, and he's like, oh, look at this is Sabaody, this is great. Oh, look, there's a cotton candy, awesome. So he's walking around, and here's the thing that I didn't want to happen, but it happened, like, just as long as you don't draw it out. Chopper runs into the fake Sanji, and the fake Zoro, and the fake Rock, Robin, and the fake Chopper. Oddly enough. And of course, none of them look like the actual members of the crew, right? Robin is like 3 feet tall in this version, and Zoro's kind of like, he's got a bit of a belly, and Sanji looks kind of emaciated and kind of pale. You know, I think he's smoking way too many cigarettes there. At any rate, of course, because it's comedy and because it's Chopper thinks, hey guys, how you been? It's been 2 years! Before we really didn't get a chance to really, you know, interact with them, though, the Men in Black from earlier, here come the Men in Black, they all of a sudden jump fake Robin, put her in a bag, and run away with her. Because they confused that Robin for our Robin. I don't know how. These guys are really stupid. I don't know why I thought they were the Revolutionary Army. These guys are really, really stupid. Like freaking Bulk and Skull or something. Like, hey Bulk, do you think that's Robin? I don't know. She's got black hair, right? Yeah, she's got black hair. Alright, probably Robin. And they just go and rush and grab her and then run off with her. Chopper freaks out like, oh, Robin's been kidnapped, guys! We need to go save her! And fake Zoro and fake Sanji are just like, well, yeah. And they're just like, whatever. And Chopper's like, wait, don't you care about your crewmate? Oh, what happened to you these past 2 years? And then he runs off to try to save her. So, yeah. Actually, you know what? You know what's funny? We never got a resolution to that. Fake Robin, this random woman, her name's Coco in the actual, we find out later her name's Coco. Random woman from the East Blue that got, you know, recruited by the fake Straw Hats, by D'Amato Black. You know, she's on the island, she's walking around, she gets kidnapped by these 2 guys, you know, the Men in Black, just run off like Cypher Pull agents or whatever. We never find out what happened with her. We never found out the conclusion to that story. Is she still alive? Is she captured? Did they realize their mistake and let her go? I think later on we get a random statement from one of the revolutionaries like, oh, we heard they were captured. She was captured at Sabaody, but we turned out that was not really her. So maybe she got let go? I guess it depends on who captured her, right? Right? I don't know, but we never get the conclusion to that. She's just gone out of this story. So bye, Coco. You know, you were portraying, you're pretending to be Robin, which loses you points for me, but I hope you're not dead all the same, you know? I hope you managed, because, you know, just a random person that's like, hey, you want to be a member of the fake Straw Hats? We can rise to the top. And she's like, okay, we'll do that. And then this happened to her, so I feel bad. We now cut over to the Marine base G1, which is the former Marine fort, where we have a bunch of random soldiers announcing to Commander Momonga! That's right, Momonga is now the new boss at G1, and with his mighty mustache, he rules with an iron sword. Although in the anime, they didn't include Momonga. They swapped him out for some just random generic Marine number 1572. So that was kind of some points lost on the anime's department right there. You denying Momonga a chance to shine, anime? Do you not think Momonga is the most badass vice admiral in this entire organization? We're gonna have a talk later. I'm gonna do a Momonga video and I'm gonna show you guys how awesome Momonga is. Yeah! But anyway, yeah, the Marines are basically like, sir, the Straw Hats are forming a crew on Sabaody! And they're like, what? Well, we need to mobilize. And so that's all we get there. Now we cut to the last scene of the chapter, though. This is an extended chapter, of course. We cut to the last scene of the chapter where D'Amato Black is the fake Luffy. He's stampeding through town. He's stampeding through town, and he sees a woman with a guy that has a long nose. And so he mistakes them for Nami and Usopp, and he just shoots them right in the middle of the street. And this poor guy that has a long nose ends up getting shot just because of just like, he's like, oh, there's a guy with a long nose. And so he gets shot, he gets dropped, and then D'Amato Black is like, oh, sorry, thought you were somebody else. Find him. And as soon as that happens, a mysterious shadowy figure emerges from behind him, wielding a giant backpack and a mighty cloak, and just kind of like bumps into fake Luffy, because, you know, fake Luffy's pretty big and this backpack is pretty big, so they kind of like bump into each other, and fake Luffy's like, what? Hey, kid, what the hell do you think you're doing? You can't just bump into me in the middle of the street. I'm Straw Hat Luffy! And then last scene of the chapter, we get Luffy turning his head around. Dun dun dun. Huh? What? Oh, sorry, guy. End of chapter. Who could say where this is going, right? Certainly not me, certainly not you. I have no idea where this was going. I mean, if I was going to throw out an idea, I'm going to assume that Luffy's going to knock out the big guy with Conqueror's Haki, right? And then Sentomaru's going to show up on the island with some pacifistas. And the Straw Hats are all going to beat him down because they're stronger. And then after that, they're all going to get back together and descend to Fishman Island, where they're going to run into a ragtag group of fishmen that are forming a giant army in the legacy of Arlong because they hate humans. Along the way, Luffy's also going to end up meeting a mermaid princess that's also one of the ancient weapons Poseidon that control all the Sea Kings. And we're going to learn about Jinbei's past and Orihime, who was the original queen of Fishman Island. And then after that, they're going to head back to the surface after Luffy asks Jinbei to join his crew when he denies it, of course. He's got other stuff going on. Head back to the surface, land on an island that's half cold, half hot because of Aokiji and Akainu's fight. I'm going to assume Akainu and Aokiji fought, and Akainu's the new fleet admiral. They're going to beat up a gassy scientist. They're going to meet a samurai and his son, who's not his son, that can turn into a dragon before heading off to Dressrosa and fight against a giant flamingo man and a giant mountain man that talks with a kind of voice like this. And then afterward, they're going to head into a giant elephant that has a country on its back that's filled with furries before they separate after finding the road poneglyph, which is one of the locations to Laugh-Tale that they have to locate. Sanji's going to end up getting captured. They're going to have to go back to Totland, which is where Big Mom rules over, because Luffy, of course, threatened her early in Fishman Island. Of course, I'm just assuming. So they're going to separate the crew. They're going to go to Totland. They're going to get Sanji back. Also, a jaguar mink is going to die alongside the way. Jinbei's going to be there, but he's not going to join, of course, because he has to wait until the exact right moment for that to happen, before everybody meets back up at Wano Country, where the samurai's former master died a long time ago, and everybody loves him, but everybody hates him. And then they're going to fight Kaido, while at the same time, Luffy is really going to train hard and learn a new form of armament haki. This is after, of course, fighting against a human that loves donuts that had an advanced form of observation haki, but right now they're going to go up against a giant duck god dragon at an island that's shaped like a muffin. Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys think about that there? What do you guys think about the particulars there? Comment down below. No, I'm throwing a lot of you guys out there, but yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This was a lot of fun. I just wanted to do something interesting and special for the 10-year anniversary. Got a lot of other videos coming down the pipeline. Burn the Witch, the animation is now out, so I gotta do a video on that. I still want to do the video on Mashal, and oh yeah, My Hero Academia. That chapter comes out today. That's gonna be crazy to see where that goes. But hope you guys have a great day, and happy Kanalbulensdag! These are just, I had to get all these cinnamon rolls last minute, okay? So I didn't have time to make freshly baked cinnamon buns or cinnamon rolls. I apologize to the great country of Sweden. I think it's also celebrated in Finland. Finland! I apologize to the Nordic countries for my lackluster cinnamon rolls that I literally just bought. I mean, these aren't even cinnamon rolls. These are just pecan swirls. You get the like little Debbie's little boxes. But I used to eat these all the time as a kid, so I am partial to a good pecan swirl. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I would say here's to 10 more years of One Piece, but we're probably not going to get that. But here's to, here, I'll toast with berry and a cinnamon roll. Here's to at least 5 more years of One Piece. Maybe 6, maybe 7. 5 more years minimum, though. Signing out.